Here we have some arithmetic problems. Addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, but they have to do with decimals, so there's some little tricks that you need to know to do these. The first couple I'm going to do by hand and then check on the calculator, and I encourage you to check your work with a calculator to make sure you don't make any silly errors. And the last two I'm just going to do on the calculator and talk about a little bit. Let's look at this one. We've got these three numbers to add together, so I'm going to stack them up like I would for a normal addition problem that I was doing by hand. There's my 0.6. Now my 0.35, I'm dropping off the leading zeros here. It's important to put the decimal point in the same place. That way you have the tenths, the hundredths, the ones place, the thousandths if you have it, all lined up, and that's what we need to do. We need to have the right places lined up. So now my 4.35 is going to have to be put in like this. Once I've got it set up with the columns lined up correctly, the decimal point in the same place in each number, we can go ahead and add just like you normally would. So 5 plus 5 is 10. Put the 1 up here. 1 and 6 is 7, and 3 is 10, and 3 is 13. And then carry the 1 over here, and then we've got 5. And then we put our decimal point, same spot. So I got a 5.3 for this one. Let's just double check it on the calculator. 0.6 plus 0.35 plus 4.35, and I got a 5.3. So that checks out. Let's look at the subtraction problem here. Pretty much the same thing going on. One little special trick I need to show you with this one. I'll set it up like I would normal subtraction problem. Like with the addition, I have to line up my decimal point. So here's the point and then the 362. With this number on top though, what I'm going to do is fill in what we call trailing zeros so that it fills out the rest of that. Otherwise, it's hard to know when I should be borrowing to do my subtraction. So now I can go ahead here. I'm going to do some borrowing. Okay, 10 minus 2 is 8, 9 minus 6 is 3, 12 minus 3 is 9, and then we've got the 7. So I got 7.938. Let's check that one out on the calculator. 8.3 minus 0.362, and I get 7.938. So that checks out. Let's do the next one here. This is multiplication. We've got 5.56 times 0.019, and I would just say do this on the calculator. 5.56 times 0.019, and what I get is 0.10564. And the thing I want to point out here is that usually when you think about multiplying with integers, you think about numbers getting bigger. If you multiplied 5 times something else, you'd end up with a result that's bigger than 5. But when you multiply by some number like this that's less than 1 and greater than 0, you end up with a number that's smaller. 0.1 is much smaller than 5.56. So even though you're multiplying, you can end up with a number that's smaller. Something to keep in mind. And actually the opposite thing happens here with the division. Usually with division, you're used to numbers, your answer being smaller than the number you started with. Let's see what we get here. 1.68 divided by 0.3. And here I get 5.6. So you can see this 5.6 is bigger than the 1.68. When you divide by a number that's less than 1 and greater than 0, one of these decimals less than 1, numbers get bigger. So something to keep in mind, maybe a little bit different than the way you're used to thinking. And that's how to do some arithmetic with decimals.